The AFC South, which is a fun division. It's going to be a fun division this year because there's so many storylines, man. No storyline bigger than the Malik Willis, Ryan Tannehill saga. It's now become a saga because we had the mentorship soundbite, right? First off, the kid falls to the third round. I think he's an absolute steal.
Freak.
I would have, I've said this before, and it's on record. Like, I would have drafted him first out of those quarterbacks because there was nobody transcendent enough to hang your hat on. Draft somebody with upside, and this kid's got upside. You've seen him make some really good throws. You've also seen a preseason overreaction. That bug hit Tennessee. Fans are calling for Ryan Tannehill's job the minute he throws the ball sidearm against some twos in August. That's the way it works. It's unfair, but that's the way it works. They're not going to show the pick six he almost throws the first play of the game. They're going to show the good plays, and the hype machine begins. And the problem for Ryan Tannehill is the last time we saw Ryan Tannehill play football, it was an absolute stinker against the team that went to the Super Bowl. And so if you're a Titans fan, you're like, who's holding us back from being Super Bowl contenders?
And their recent taste memory is...
Yeah. And Arthur Smith left a year ago, and Ryan didn't have the best year. So, I think if you're Ryan, you lose A.J. Brown, you're feeling the pressure from Malik Willis, and you're probably puckered up to have one of those crater games where they start booing you and calling for the young kid. And that's what he's got to avoid. He's got to start fast. You know how
make him forget.
No, just make him forget and get him off you, man, because people don't know. They don't know ball like that, and they're going to want him to start week one. And not only are you going to fuck up the rookie, then you're not going to have the vet anymore. And this isn't what's going to happen. Ryan Tannehill's the starter for this team week one. But if he plays poor enough and there's a 3-pick game or he blows a game, fans are going to be really pulling for this kid. So
Twitter.
Twitter. So something to watch is going to be how he handles all this pressure. And I think there's a lot of pressure. And Treylon Burks has to perform. He's your swing guy. Is Robert Woods going to be enough? You need this rookie to step up. Derrick Henry, man, I keep waiting for him to fall off. Not hoping he falls off, but there's no way.
Just the par tells us that people fall off.
Yeah, dude.
After however many holes.
Yeah, and
he keeps going. I saw a clip of Derrick Henry going one-on-one pass pro, full pads in joint practice.
Yeah.
With the Bucks, I believe it was.
Mm-hmm.
It was Levante David and Derrick Henry, and I've seen a million one-on-one pass pro reps with Pro Bowlers on Pro Bowlers.
Yeah.
And it was every bit a game rep. It was every bit it was an all-pro going against an all-pro.
Yeah.
And it was a real rep. And to see that from Derrick Henry, who has metal in his foot and, thousands of carries behind him, it's incredible to see a guy like that, a superstar, taking practice and making it like a game.
Well, not just that, he's really good at it. You're like, man, that guy looks like a tackle out there.
He really does.
And then on top of that, it's just he just looks so. You wonder if he shows up to camp one of these years, he's going to look different. He does not look any fucking different. He looks scarier, and he looks more ready to carry the ball 500 times this year. And when he came back from that foot injury last year, I was like, maybe he'll show signs of slowing down. He really still looked pretty good. So Derrick Henry. He's going to have to carry this team again. Not saying Tannehill's not a good quarterback, but this is the engine. That's the engine on this team. And the defense has got to be scrappy. 9-13, weeks 9-13. It's a 5-week stretch. Pretty brutal there.
At Chiefs, home against the Broncos. At Packers, home against the Bengals. At the Eagles, week 13.
And you just hope that they're healthy enough up front, knock on wood, which they haven't been for long stretches.
Yeah.
Because, as you know, with a second group in at offensive line, you can't run the ball.
Right.
You can get away with 3-step drop, quick game, passing, pow, boom, 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 boom. But when you hand the ball off and you force your offensive lineman to try to take a D lineman against his will out of the line of scrimmage, it's not going to happen unless you've got your guys.
Exactly. Yeah, they got to stay healthy. Health's going to be a big one with them. The Colts, man. The Colts are my favorite to win the division, right? I believe that. I picked them last year, and I got to feel like the quarterback is an upgrade, right?
Yeah.
Wentz did not play well, and Wentz, a lot of people, when I'd say something negative about Wentz, they were like, yeah, but he won some big games. I'm like, you're mentioning games that he didn't really throw the ball a lot in, and when you have to work around your quarterback to beat the Patriots, I mean, that's a problem. That's why he's in Washington, and I'm rooting for Wentz, and we'll talk about him on the NFC preview. But I mean, Matt Ryan is a bona fide, borderline Hall of Fame guy, dude. I mean, he's played in Super Bowls. He basically won a Super Bowl. Matt Ryan beat us, right? And then somehow we took that away from them, and it wasn't Matt's fault. So, like, you have
God did it.
God did it. Yeah. So God needs to get the Broncos back in it. Yeah. So Matt Ryan's there. There's a vibe upgrade, right? Vibe check right out the gate is good. Frank Reich, good vibes.
As Drake said, vibe switch like night and day.
Is that what Drake said?
Yeah, he has said that.
I stopped listening to him a while back.
The guy's good.
He's still good.
He's still got it. He's like Derrick Henry. He just keeps coming.
Yeah. But if I wasn't watching Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
So the Colts, I think they got a shot to win the division. Matt's seen what talent looks like. Like in Atlanta, he had dude after dude to throw to. It's not like that in Indy.
No.
And that's the thing. I think we're a little bit overvaluing Indy, as I say, out of one side of my mouth, they're going to win the division. But I also think people are like getting a little, I want to see how it works. Okay. Pittman's a really good prospect. He had a really nice year last year. But is there anybody at wide receiver that scares you? No. Left tackle.
Eric Fisher.
No, Matt Pryor.
Gone.
Matt Pryor I played with in Philly, and Matt Pryor to me is more of a guard than a tackle.
And he's
a big physical guy, but he's going to have to show a lot this year to protect Matt Ryan's blindside, a guy who doesn't have a lot of pocket mobility. Okay, so for Matt, I think it's not a perfect place, but it's a soft landing in a division that's really wounded. We talked about Tennessee; they're wounded in a couple ways. Like Tannehill's got to play better this year. Henry, any year now, like wide receiver, you lose A.J. Brown. There's a lot of question marks there. The Colts have gotten better, maybe. They got better defensively. They added Unique Ngakoue, who's a really good rusher. Been on more teams than anybody for somebody who's real good the first 6 years of his career, whatever it is. He's rushing next to Buckner, or he's rushing right up front with Buckner. Like, that's a great 1-2 punch. Kwity Paye's a swing guy.
Freak.
If Kwity Paye can come along like he did late in the season and put together a really good year too, like I know what that's like to be a young rusher. Like it takes time, and he's gotten the time now, and he's on a good football team around good players. He could take a big step forward. And when you have a 1-2 punch, as you said, you add that third solid player, and
it's unfair.
And the O-line is they're really,
and you're overwhelmed.
You're overwhelmed. So adding him. You got the third easiest schedule. The division, as I said, is on the men. You had Gilmore, and my guy Rodney McLeod. So there's newcomers, but I think they got better, and the division got worse. So this is good for them. The fucking Jags, I don't know what to think, dude. I just don't. Like, I'm going to pull for them.
Trevor Lawrence, I think, is so much better than people give credit for.
Well, again, it's like the Matt Nagy thing. No, again, you're not saying this, me, but Matt Nagy leaving Chicago, everybody knows what that does for a Justin Fields or a young quarterback, because it just wasn't working there. You want 3 more years of that? No. Urban Meyer, dude, was like, it was one of the worst 1-year reviews on a coach developing a team or a young quarterback. Like, what did Trevor Lawrence do to deserve that? So Doug is going to be the opposite. He's going to be a calming presence. That team's going to like Doug. They're going to want to play for him. Urban Meyer is the thing to like about the Jags.
Because there's nothing to
There's no Urban Meyer.
Yeah.
That's the thing to like about the Jags. And on top of that, you got Doug Peterson, who won a Super Bowl, and all the players are going to buy in. Everybody's going to love him. I think the biggest question is, can they run the ball? Because they got 2 really, at the very least, exciting young running backs. Etienne, we've seen him healthy now. Robinson, who was real good last year.
Robinson.
Yeah, he's a bowling ball. And you got to run the football to take the pressure off. So I got to believe they're going to run the football, even though sometimes Doug would get away from that in Philly. I also think, even though they overpaid for Christian Kirk, if they're going to overpay for anybody, we've made a lot of jokes about him resetting the market and how GMs hate him. But, he's a good player, and you've given it a young quarterback a good player to throw the ball to and aid his development.
What more can you ask for?
Nothing. Yeah. Maybe, maybe some other free agents I've heard of.
Yeah.
No offense to anybody, but, I'm joking. We know these guys.
But what,
Man, a lot of people think Trevor Lawrence deserves some grace, like a grace period because of Urban Meyer, and I agree.
I'm with him.
So here's the big question, man. Can these teams that spend a lot don't necessarily win? And can you win after this spending spree you went on this offseason? And can you justify Trayvon Walker at 1? I like the kid, dude. I said this coming in. I think he's going to have the best, longest career out of those 3 DNs. Maybe he won't have the highest highs, but I feel real safe about it.
But that's not what defines a career. It's your ability to go,
dude. And
like Calais Campbell, he was never a sack leader, but he's like sniffing 10 a year, and he's like,
bro, he's a Hall of Famer.
That's what
you know what I mean?
And that's what a Hall of Famer is.
But I'm talking about even with Trayvon Walker, even if Trayvon Walker gets you, he might not go for double digits for a few years.
Yep.
But he's going to be disruptive. He's going to push that pocket, and he's going to make a lot of tackles because he's big, athletic, and can run sideline to sideline. The one thing for him, ironically, is finishing. And that's the hard part of this. Like, can he finish? The way we were talking about Karlaftis, that's the same thing with Walker. Lastly, I just want to say something about the Texans. We couldn't get through the show without saying something about the Texans. It's more of a statement than like I know what's going to happen there. We love Davis Mills. I'm excited about Davis Mills. And I think for the Texans, you have to be excited about, how effortless this year is going to be. I don't mean effortless on the field, but I mean, you don't have to make any decisions, man. This year coming up, you got some good quarterbacks in the draft lined up. We had Lovie Smith on the show. He talked about how he feels like he has a really good, like if Davis Mills was in this past draft class, he'd be picked first. So think about it in that frame. Like, they have a really good young quarterback who's got some NFL experience under his belt. And I mean really good, like he has a shot to be good.
Yeah.
The way we sit here and jack off to Kenny Pickett highlights, we've got real footage of Davis Mills in the NFL doing stuff.
Yeah.
So kind of exciting for a team that's really sparse around him. On top of that, your decision is easy next year because your team's bad. If you have played yourself out of a high draft pick, it's because your quarterback's good. And you don't have to, you already have one, right? Maybe you're in love with somebody who falls to 30. Yeah. There's an Aaron Rodgers or something. But, like, it's not like on a team where you're not sure about the quarterback and you might play yourself out of the opportunity to draft that quarterback's successor because the team's really good around the quarterback. It's the opposite.
Yeah.
Like, Davis Mills, if they win 7 games, should be the quarterback
and they can
very
draft somebody else and help him out. And they have their guy.
That's how I feel.
They have the Browns picks too, first round and third round, so they have the best setup of draft capital in the whole NFL.
And you made a great point earlier. Is like now that Deshaun's suspension is a while, that pick is going to be better and better for the Texans. So
the Browns are going to be not as good.
Yeah.
Without Deshaun. The pick that they earn goes to the Texans.
Yeah, brother.
That's wild.
So I'm excited about them. I'm excited about them Texans, boy. And I'm excited about Davis Mills, man. I took the over on the win total. I think it was 4.5. Yeah, they're going to win 5 games. Fuck yeah, they're going to win 5 games.
Put me down for that.
I want to say this. There's 2 people on this roster I feel really bad for. And this isn't even an analysis. I want to close the show feeling bad for 2 guys playing on really bad football teams that aren't just bad, it's been fucking unfair to the players, the dysfunction there. Like, these are guys busting their asses, and they're good players. I'll start with Brandon Cooks. Think about Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks got to New Orleans in 2014. He missed the party, right? He missed all that greatness. Then he ends up in New England. The year after we win the Super Bowl in 2016, he goes to New England, and guess what? They're in the Super Bowl. But he gets knocked out in the first fucking quarter by Malcolm Jenkins, and he has to watch his team lose, so he doesn't get a ring there. Then the very next year, what does he do? He ends up in L.A., right? He ends up in L.A. He goes to play in the Super Bowl again. Who's he playing? His old team, the Patriots. He gets beat by his old team, the team that he followed to try to get a ring, and then had to leave and gets beat by them. So then he leaves L.A. and ends up in Houston. Of all places, of all the shit he's been through, he ends up in Houston in the aftermath of the Deshaun Watson mushroom cloud. So he came in and he thought he was going to catch the ball from Deshaun Watson. Like, wrong again. Mm-hmm. So I feel really bad for Brandon Cooks, not just because of where he's been, but because of what he's done where he's been. He's been, all he's done is put up 1,000 yards a season.
6 out of the last 7 seasons,
and people don't seem
yards.
to want him. And worse yet, he ends up in these tantalizingly close situations. Yeah. So I wish there was like a lifetime achievement award I could give my guy Brandon Cooks for just not only being a really good player in the league, being underrated, underappreciated, but also unlucky, And so I feel bad for him. I also feel bad for Laramie Tunsil, because Laramie Tunsil lost a fuck ton of money over a gas mask, right? He lost more money than Deshaun Watson lost.
Off a spiteful family member.
Think about that. Deshaun Watson lost $5 million. How much money do you think Laramie Tunsil lost
20?
Over a gas mask?
30?
What the fuck is wrong with the NFL, right? But he lost that money. He ends up in Miami. Then they ship him out of Miami, and he's the subject of a trade that's so scrutinized that people like resent his presence on the outside, looking at that deal from a standpoint of what you gave up to get what you got. And so, like he ends up again in Houston thinking he's blocking for Deshaun Watson. Instead, he ends up in the mushroom cloud. Like I feel bad for these two guys. I really do. And I hope it turns around for them. I hope it turns around for Davis Mills. I got friends there. Shout out to Everett Gearlings, right? He's our guy. He's
down there in Houston running the show.
Camu, he's down there. Camu Grugier Hill, who was up in Philly with me. Special teams, Dynamo. He's played some defense. So, like, there's some dudes down there, man. It's just, I hope things turn around, because I say this, losing the NFL is really hard, and it's unfair to the players who are on those really bad teams that are not just bad, but they're kind of like, they're bad for reasons that are kind of, they transcend being bad. Mm-hmm. And that's what Houston's been. So rooting for Davis Mills, take the over there. Listen to the full podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and other podcast streaming platforms. Wherever you want to get the podcast, you can get the podcast. Pretty simple. New episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. Podcasts get pretty wild. This is real tame.